everybody, it is Lawrence again from My Squeakers, and it has been a long while since I have created a video. I've actually had a lot of things happening in my personal life that are really positive. I just got a rental property down in Miami, and so I'm working on that for a little bit. I just got to get rid of some termites before I put it onto the market. Just a lot of personal things, and I just haven't been around. I haven't gotten equipment, and I think more importantly, I've not been able to cop any sneakers really until probably the last couple of weeks, and so that has obviously slowed down my ability to release videos. But today we have something that I thought was a super interesting release, and also, oh, one more thing. I'm also in the middle of moving, and so I don't have my normal area, and everything's kind of like covered up, and so I apologize for not having the sneakers behind me, and also better background, and just honestly just better video quality in general. But let's dive into this one because it is a very interesting silhouette that has very luxurious vibes to it. And so without further ado, here is the Kim Jones Chuck 70 All-Star High. So this to me has extremely Dior-esque vibes. For people who don't know who Kim Jones is a luxury brand designer that has been trying to kind of merge the idea of streetwear and luxury design for a while. It's kind of his shtick at this point, but he's been really good at it. I admire a lot of his stuff. He was the one that brought together Supreme and Louis Vuitton for Louis Vuitton. Anyway. He is now the head designer at Dior, and I love his stuff at Dior. And so as soon as I kind of brought the shoe out, it really does remind me of the Dior style that he has created. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called the B23. And that style of sneaker looks exactly like a Converse, but with a little TPU overlay on it. And this looks like a Converse. This is a Converse with a TPU overlay on top of it. Let's get into the rundown before we review this sneaker. Price point, $160, which is extremely expensive for a Converse sneaker, but there is, to me, I think pretty premium materials here. These do not feel like your typical Chuck 70 or even Chuck Taylor All-Star. These feel really good. In terms of sizing, I actually went a half size down. I kind of made a mistake. I should have went a full size down. I normally wear 7.5, and normally for my Chuck Taylors I get a 6.5. And for these, I got a 7 because I thought about how chunky this was and my foot being kind of like constrained in. I'd say that these are actually not as narrow as the Chuck Taylor All-Stars, and so for me, I think going full size down would have been helpful. It's too big at half size down. For the most part, I'd recommend for most people to go full size down on this pair. Finally, looking at comfort. So looking at comfort, I give these like a 5 out of 10. There are really great points to it, and these are significantly more comfortable than the Chuck Taylor All-Stars, as well as Chuck 70s. I actually think these are a pretty good shoe, considering it is based on the Converse sneaker line. However, these are super heavy, and so all the things that kind of erases because of the enhanced sole style and things like that, it kind of erases. I would probably give this like a 6.5. Maybe even possibly a 7 if these weren't so damn heavy. Like, they're literally bricks. I picked it up, and then, I have a doorman downstairs, and he pretty much, had to go as he was lifting it. He's kind of old. Yeah, these are really heavy, and so I think that takes away from a lot of the comfort. Like, even during the on-foot video that I did right before shooting, it was actually really hard for me to kind of like, jiggle around like I normally do. And it might also be because it's a half size too big, but for the most part these are super heavy, which takes away from the comfort. And finally, in terms of style, I like these a lot. I actually give these like an 8.5, almost 9 out of 10. But it's because I really like the Dior ones a lot, and this feels like honestly a much cleaner, nicer, and less branded version of that, which I really do appreciate, because the other one, the Diors have way too much kind of branding on them, which I don't love. Alright, so now with the rundown out of the way, let's get into the review of the Kim Jones Chuck 70 All-Star High. So looking at this sneaker, it's very simple. This is made out of a khaki canvas. There's another colorway that is done in black that has very dark vibes. It's pretty much the antithesis of this style, but this is a khaki canvas. Right over that khaki canvas, you have a TPU that's overlaid on top of it. What I do like about this TPU overlay is that it does give the shoe a lot more structure than your typical Chuck Taylor All-Star with just kind of canvas on it. So I actually do like that a lot. The lacing system is also a bit unique, where there are holes, kind of in rivets that are done in silver, but alternating between the two, the TPU actually has basically like plastic holes, or plastic kind of like what are these called, like hanger things, and that part of the lacing system is part of that. I think it looks cool. I think it's a really interesting concept, and I think it brings out a little interesting aesthetic to the sneaker. But in terms of like it actually working better than just rivets themselves, it doesn't. It doesn't lace up easier. On the other side, with the medial side of it, you actually have the Converse All-Star over there. And then the most striking part of this sneaker, even though there is a TPU that's not normally there, is this crazy, crazy, crazy double stacked. It's actually not a double stacked sole. It just kind of the sole. The midsole area just kind of like comes up pretty significantly into the upper, and so this kind of extra area is actually really, really good. I actually appreciate it, mainly because it actually adds a lot of structure and rigidity to places where, like, where your arch is over here. So when I had it on, I actually liked it. It obviously adds a bunch of weight though, but for the most part, I think these are a lot more comfortable than your typical Chuck Taylors. And then the other thing to note, beyond the fact that the rest of it looks pretty much the same, it is a shiny gloss black over here, and then there is a shiny gloss between the two layers of the outsole, as well as kind of that extra rubber on the upper. Going into the front of the sneaker, you actually just have your typical kind of like rubber that goes over the front. And the other interesting note about the sneaker is the back. There is a heel counter, which you don't normally see on the exterior of Converses at all, and it kind of goes in here. And then there is a pretty big strip of rubber that runs through the back as well, and that itself is also adding rigidity. So I think I really like the rigidity that the sneaker gets from all the different elements of the rubber, but it obviously adds a shit ton of weight, which I do not love. You also do have a hit of Kim Jones stamped at the very top of it that you can see over there. And then moving over to the bottom, or the outsole, it's a pretty hefty outsole. It is not your typical Converse All-Star or even Chuck 70. So these are very, very rigid and pretty, it doesn't really move at all. Normally you can bend it a little bit, and it's a little bit squishy on the bottom, but I can't do anything here. So the traction pattern, from what I've only worn it for a little bit, was really, really good, and you do not feel all those little things that you normally would, whether it's ridges on the floor, like pebbles and stuff like that, like you do in your Converse All-Stars. You don't feel that at all. This just feels like it's almost like a mixture between like a outsole as well as a midsole that is more similar to like Airwear Doc Marten, and then the upper is a very light canvas type of material. But for the most part, I do like the look of the sneaker. Comfort's neither here nor there, but I think this is ultimately a fashion sneaker at the end of the day. So if you want to wear them, you can. These are so easy to style, whether it's this kind of khaki one or the black one. I think anyone that wants to wear Converse and wants to elevate their fashion just a little bit, this is a great pair. It's pretty much available everywhere, from what I can tell from my research just kind of minutes before kind of filming. And I'd say that like I might actually. I'm gonna go look at how the black pair looks in person, and then I'll get a size that actually fits me. But I think that's what I'm gonna go with. I like this with this white pair, but I have a lot of white sneakers, so if I find one that's kind of a little elevated look, I might go with. I'm probably gonna go with the black. And that's it, guys. If you have any questions about this sneaker, leave that in the comments below. If not, definitely give me a thumbs up and/or subscribe all over that button down below. And until next time, this is the Kim Jones Chuck 70 All-Star High.